The computers have revolutionized everything, and they have changed our world, and they've changed our ways of thinking. Now, but everything that's present now always has a beginning, right? So in the same vein, computers also have a history. Now, the history of computers, which we'll be studying today in this episode, involves the generations of computer. Now, in dictionary, when you check dictionary for the meaning of generation, a generation can be seen basically as a stage of development of something. Now, basically, the first generation and to the fifth generation are the different generations of computer, and this started in the mid 20th century. Now, these computers they started from you can in a previous series I talked about the fact that we started from abacus, then on to slide rule, on Napier's rules, and Leibniz calculator, and so on and so forth. So now these computers we're talking about today are the kind of the modern computers. Now in the history of modern computers, we have the first to the fifth generation. Let's talk about that. Now the first generation was the generation that makes use of what is known as vacuum tubes. Now these vacuum tubes, they are just types of they are just enlarged transistors. So they work like transistors, but they are enlarged. So and then if you don't know what a transistor is, a transistor is basically a device that just helps you to amplify a signal or to close and open a circuit. Now if you are interested in electronics, there will be a separate video for that, but today let's just deal with the computers. Now these vacuum tubes, they were used in these processing machines. These computers, the early computers, they make use of these vacuum tubes. And then we also have vacuum tubes. Aside vacuum tubes, we have the magnetic drums. So these magnetic drums, they were used for storing the information that the computer has processed. Those are the two devices. These are the two features that the first generation computers used. And first generation computers were in operation between 1940 and 1956. So and then they were always large. They often produced a lot of heat and so on and so forth. Example of that is the UNIVAC. That's the Universal Automator and Computer. So that was in the 1950s, the early 1950s. Then we also have the second generation of computers. So in this second generation of computers, instead of making use of vacuum tubes, we now upgraded to making use of what is known as transistors. Now these transistors that were used, they were basically devices that were able to work at the smaller volume, because these transistors, they were smaller than vacuum tubes. But now these transistors, even as small as they were, they still produce heat. And these second generation computers were used in the 1956 to 1963. And instead of making use of magnetic drums, they made use of magnetic tubes for memory. And these transistors were invented in 1947 at the Bell Labs. So that's the second generation computers. Then we have the third generation of computers where we make use of, now they now discarded use of all those transistors and others, and then they now integrated everything into what is known as an integrated circuit. Now an integrated circuit is basically a type of device that involves different it's basically consists of transistors, but these transistors have been integrated to perform different functions. Now and then this third generation of computers, they make use of the advanced input and output devices, and these are the keyboard and the monitor. So these were in operation during 1964 and 1971. Then after that, we have what is known as the fourth generation of computers. Now this is a more recent computers, and we still use them today, and they make use of microprocessors. Now if you open your devices, you often see your ICs, your integrated circuits, and you see your microprocessors. Now this microprocessor is just like the brain of your computer. Now this fourth generation of computers, they started from 1971 up to date, and they made use of these microprocessors. They made use of advanced and graphics interface and all the rest. So and then example of this is the Intel chip 4004. And even now they keep upgrading these electronics. So that's why our computers keep getting faster and faster and faster. Then lastly, we talk about the fifth generation, which is from the present to the future. Now the fifth generation is encompassed by what is known as artificial intelligence. Now this artificial intelligence, it encompasses the fact that the computer is able to take in input, and then it's able to process that input independently based on the program, and then it's be able to take a wise decision just like a human being. Now this example of artificial intelligence nowadays is the robot. But though some people might argue that we don't have artificial intelligence yet, but in the coming future, it's very possible that we might have computers able to think like human beings.